So right now, I was wondering if you know how many counties in Pennsylvania did not implement that guidance for the rejected mail-in ballots to allow people to vote by provisional ballots instead, and how many counties did implement that? And then also, based on those numbers, do you think the final vote count in Pennsylvania that we'll see, the projected one before it's certified, was altered by the Secretary of State's handling of that guidance and then the November 2nd clarification? Do you think that altered it? Thank you so much.
I don't have the specific amount of counties, how many did it, how many did not. I know many did not, many did. So maybe around 50-50, but I don't have exact numbers, so I don't want to give you a number. I don't know how much it would alter the vote count. I don't know what the final vote count is going to be. And, and that's why I asked for everyone to sort of listen through the process and allow candidates to review how it was done. And if candidates want to go to the courts to seek remedy, they have that right to do so, no matter who it is. So we will let that unfold as we investigate. I think that's why Speaker Cutler called for this audit, so that we can investigate and know specifically how many counties did this at the guidance of the Secretary of State, how many did not, and how many voters may have come in change that. So these are things we don't know that we want to know before a final decision.
And Nicholas, I think the important part there is the fact that we even have to ask that question is what causes concern, because the law was not consistently applied across the Commonwealth. And that goes, I've heard anecdotally from both Republican and Democrat counties, different individuals handled it differently. Some, both sides, still allowed the ballots to be remedied. Others, such as my own in Lancaster County, strictly said no. The Supreme Court was very clear those ballots are to be segregated and to not be counted. And then you've got the Secretary issuing the guidance thereafter that at best muddied the waters, at worst created a lot of confusion. And the fact is the electoral laws need to be applied uniformly across the Commonwealth. So the first thing is, and you're correct, we need to find out how many counties did and didn't do this. And then we've got to ask the governor to follow through and understand why that occurred, because since we are a Commonwealth, a lot of this activity does happen at the county level, which is different than many other states. And we understand that because we live here, and I recognize that not everybody that might be listening here this afternoon does, however, because there's a large decentralization in a Commonwealth where a lot of these functions are carried out locally. And in this particular one, it's important that it's not only carried out locally, but also consistently.
Just to give you an example of the concern, my home county, Center County, Steve Dersham, the minority commissioner, Republican commissioner, but is the chair of the elections board. And this corrective process started without his knowledge. They went forth and began to try to correct some of these ballots without his knowledge. The chairman of the elections board, without a kind of a vote or any kind of a process to say this is what we're going to do. Again, we don't know if this has a major impact on the election or not, but it continues to put a cloud on this process. If the secretary would have just sent out guidance and followed the law, this would have been very clear and very easy, but she didn't. And this is the problem that we're all facing right now.
And Nicholas, lastly, the important part of that processing part, that is called pre-canvassing under our laws. Both sides should have been able to have their people there to witness all of that, which is another important component. And that was carried out without the ability of any candidates to actually monitor that process. And in the leader's case, even his own county commissioner, who is chairman of the board.
When the State Department sent out that November 2nd guidance that said that the provisional ballots should be allowed for people who had rejected mail-in ballots, when that was sent out on November 2nd, the clarification, do you have reason to believe it was only sent to certain counties? Or was it sent to every county, that November 2nd email, the last minute one?
You and we would both have to check with all of the counties. That certainly is probably something that should be covered in the audit. I know for a fact that our county commissioners in Lancaster received it because they were the ones who notified me of it, because they recognized that it was not entirely consistent with the agreement contained in the Supreme Court decision previously. And that being the United States Supreme Court, because the Justice Alito was very clear. He said, I'll issue an order unless the parties can agree. And the original set of instructions that were agreed to were then later modified.